generation together. Yeah, remember the key to success is working hard. For our country we must have regard. Forget all your differences, let we start to build. And onward to progress we surely will. Because now more than ever we must show discipline, tolerance, and production.
Yes, indeed. Now more than ever before, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production. I want to welcome you to this segment in the program where I will speak, laying a solid foundation for reasoning. And as I said to the audience on the radio, now that we have those on Facebook and YouTube with us, initially I told you I will not have any program this morning because I have to attend to something very important. But with the General Council meeting of the NNP yesterday, that prompted me to have the program this morning and then attend to that very important event, right, that I must be at. So we got to do what we got to do. All right, just saying that. So yesterday I followed the General Council, that open session. Both parties, they would have a General Council before their convention. Both political parties, the NNP and the NDC. So the General Council will see delegates gather and they will discuss the affairs of the party and they would set the agenda for the convention of the party. So the NNP had their General Council yesterday. And the open session is what caught a lot of people's attention. I mean, people were following it on social media. And Emlin spoke and other people spoke. But who stood out in all of this was Keith Mitchell. Keith Mitchell is not really the leader of the NNP, but he seemed to be the person starring, right? And that is why people continue to say Emlin is a puppet leader and Keith is the real leader within NNP. So that causing people to say those things. But folks, the Grenadian people are seeing the real NNP at those forums, at those meetings. That's the true NNP. They have nothing of substance to offer the Grenadian people. When they speak, they do not put forward plans and programs, nothing substantive, nothing with vision, nothing whatsoever. So Keith Mitchell went on a rant yesterday, and people are beginning to think deeper because Emlin Pere, who professes to be a Christian, a woman of the cloth, sat on that stage when Keith Mitchell was saying those derogatory stuff, right? And it was out of taste, out of class. It lacked, you know, standard, respect, decency. It lacked all those things. But she sat on that stage. It came across as though she was uncomfortable, but still we don't know whether she was uncomfortable or if she was laughing. We don't know. So I can't say because she had her hands more or less over her mouth, that kind of thing. But it says a lot about the direction of the NNP and how nasty their campaign will be. But in that very video, when Keith was going on a rant, you saw who controlled the NNP, more or less. Keith Mitchell, Gregory Bowen, Lorena Waldron, Roland Bowler, Clarice Modeste. I mean, the old guards, they're the ones who controlling the NNP, in my belief. They're the face of the NNP. So the NNP is not changing. They remain the same. So they were beaten at the polls for the same reasons, and they continue doing the same thing or things because they believe Grenadians going to forget and Grenadians going to go backwards and not forwards to embrace them. That is what they believe. But any reasonable thinking person, any sane person, any logically thinking person listening to Keith Mitchell would distance themselves from the NNP, would run from the NNP, because the NNP does not offer hope. The NNP does not offer, opportunities and prosperity and betterment.
We're going on in the country for government, and Tevin, the man, just take all the private parts and put it on picture and send it all over the place. What kind of people is this?
Right? So if you look carefully at the folks who are laughing, because this to them is a joke. To them, this is like nothing. This is sickening. I'm telling you, it's unbecoming of any normal person going on a platform and say those things. So this woman here with a green dress, that's Lorena Waldron. Lorena Waldron. Then you have this woman here, Rosemary, right? Then you have this guy who once managed the branch of, well, it was NCB Bank in Grove, and then it later became, I think, Republic Bank, right? I know his name. And then you have this Noel guy, right? I know his father. His brother is Dr. Martin, as his brother. He, with that short here, his father is Sam Grandroy. His sister is I don't know if she's still a nurse at the General Hospital or a director or something like that at the General Hospital, right? And close to him, you're not seeing it right now, is I think the guy, he used to act as a PS or he was a PS. Michael, I think is his name. I don't know what position he has now, right? But it's a kicks for these people. To them, it's a joke. Look at this. Look.
And if they think they look good, they should have everything they look good.
Look, just think about it. So private part, and then Keith is saying, well, if the thing look good and if it look good, using words to that effect. I mean, look at Amanda seemed not to be pleased. Amanda Japal. She seemed not to be pleased. Emlin Pere on that stage there, I don't know what to say. whether she's pleased, whether she's laughing, whether she's unhappy with it. But Cox, he's giggling all the way. Gregory Bowen there, I don't know. There seemed to be a kind of smile on his face. I mean, this type of politics, I thought we done with that.
I don't know.
Look at this. That is what NNP has.
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy.
That is what NNP has become. Right? That's NNP. That's what NNP has become as a political party. And if you listen, you have to listen what Keith was actually saying.
We're going on in the country for government, and Tevin, a man, just take all the private parts and put them picture and send it all over the place. What kind of people is this? And if they think they look good, they should have everything will look good. So I don't know.
But look, and that is the extent that Keith Mitchell is willing to go. And you have people who say that they're religious, they're women of the cloth, that they're, moral and decent and so on people. But this is what NNP has become. And they cannot put a leash on this individual because, as one Calypsonian said, the party is mine, right? No one can take it away from me. And that is how he's acting. It is sickening. It is sad. But I still want to give Emlin a lick of pass. I don't think she's pleased with this level of behavior by Keith Mitchell, right? Based on her facial expression, based on how she put her hands over her face, and you don't know whether she's laughing or whether she's serious about it or whether she's pleased about it. You don't know. But she can't say anything. She's not really and truly in control of the NNP. So she has to accept it. She has to stomach it. She cannot say anything about it. But it's as Trisha is saying, it's disgusting. As Barbara is saying, what an embarrassment. It is sickening. But that is at a general council, of the NNP. This is like the second highest or most important engagement of the party. And Keith Mitchell goes on this rant about Tevin private part and that kind of thing. Come on. It is unbecoming of any individual who is at that level and on a platform like that of a major political party.
We're going on in the country for government, and Tevin, a man, just take all the private parts and put them picture and send it all over the place. What kind of people is this? And if they think they look good, they should have everything will look good. So
I mean, it's like, okay, how he knows all of these things, why he's saying these things. And folks, do not see this as entertainment. Do not see this as Comedy Central. Don't see it as that. Keith Mitchell is disrespectful. And that is why when I, describe him in certain ways and use certain names to describe this guy, I know what I am doing. Because I know that creature. I know that individual. But some people playing as though they don't know him. This is the conduct at a general council meeting of a major political party. But he's obsessed with Tevin, private part, it seems. And he at that forum saying these things. The guy is sick politically. But there are people who support the NNP. But that is what you're supporting. That is the level of politics you are supporting. Come on. We turned the page on that. June the 22nd, 2022. We turned the page on that. So the NNP, they have not changed. They're the same old NNP with the same old guards running the show. And that is why I tell you, Emlin Pere is just leader of the party by name. But in reality, she doesn't control the party. And we are seeing it every single day. If I was the leader of that party, I would pull the mic from Keith Mitchell's mouth. I will pull the mic openly from this guy because he's a public embarrassment to the NNP. And you have to be mature enough to acknowledge that Keith Mitchell is a liability to the NNP and he is a public embarrassment to the NNP and to Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. Come on.
We going on in the country for government, and Tevin, man, just take all the private parts and put them picture and send it all over the place. What kind of people is this? And if they think they look good, they should have everything will look good. So I don't know. Lord have mercy.
And the guy's laughing as though this is a joke. And then his supporters are laughing as though, and that is why I'm saying to you, I want to repeat, most of the NNP supporters cannot read, cannot write, and cannot reason. Most of the NNP supporters cannot read, cannot write, and cannot reason because they're accepting this level of behavior from Keith Mitchell, who used to be the political leader of the NNP. Right? It's terrible. I don't know what is his role now, whether he's chairman of the party. I don't know. But Lord, this is what NNP is offering. This kind of behavior, this kind of conduct. And I mean, Keith Mitchell is 70-something years. You're a grandfather, right? You're a, you grandpa, as you say, you papa. Come on. That is the kind of conduct you will display to the young people of this country. The NNP should publicly apologize to the Grenadian people for this kind of behavior from Keith Mitchell. Keith Mitchell should be embarrassed and ashamed of himself with this kind of conduct. But that is what the NNP has become. And this is the real NNP. You look at who is still controlling the NNP and running the show within the NNP, and you see the same old guards. They have not changed. You look at NDC. NDC has totally transformed. They have a plan. NDC has a plan. They have a program, a strategy. They have vision. They have a good leader who is focused on the development of the country. When you look at the most honorable Deacon Mitchell, he's a statesman. A statesman. You look at the CARICOM leaders right now in Africa. They're statesmen and women. We don't want to go back to the days of Keith Mitchell and the NNP because Keith Mitchell is still running the show. Keith Mitchell, Lorena Waldron, Roland Bola, Clarice Modeste. I mean, the old guards, Alvin Dabrio. I mean, these are the guys who are running this whole thing, in my belief. Folks, It is important that you understand, if you want Grenada to move forward, to just go up and up and up, you can't go back to the old guards and the NNP. You can't go back to them. And, I still given Emlin Pere a little space, because if you look at her facial expression and the way she put her hands over her face, it says a lot. And I want to believe that she was not pleased with that kind of behavior, but she can't do anything about it. She can't say anything. She can't do anything about it. Or else her position within NNP might be up for grab, or they might just remove her and put somebody else. She can't. She just have to accept it.
We going on in the country for government, and Tevin, a man, just take all the private parts and put them picture and send it all over the place. What kind of people is this? And if they think they look good, they should have everything will look good. So,
Right. So Emlin Pere on the stage there, I still want to give her a pass, because I don't think she's pleased with that. I don't think so. Based on her reaction, and you look at the Amanda Japal lady, right? She's not pleased with that. Definitely, you see how she put her hands on her face down. There is certain gesticulation, certain non-verbal communication. You could kind of read certain things through it, that they're not pleased. So they don't have to say it, but you could just look at the face, how the direction it is in, where the hands is located. I don't believe the Amanda woman, the young lady, Amanda Japal, she's not pleased with that. Definitely. You can see her hands over her head saying, oh God, why Keith? Why? That's my interpretation. Why Keith? Why? Why are you acting this way? Why are you conducting yourself this way? And then you see Emlin Pere like this, more or less saying, why Keith? Why you have to go down that rat hole? So these two. And then Clarice Modeste kind of watching awe, surprise, shock at his bad conduct and behavior. Gregory Bowen, though he did not show it, but his hand, watch his hand movement. You could see his hand more or less by his mouth, chin, around here. So that too you can, see that Gregory is not too au fait and too okay with Keith's behavior. Let's look at it again, because it's important, because I don't want to cast any blame on them, because I don't believe that they're happy with it. I don't believe that they're happy with his behavior. Cox seemed to be happy, giggling, and Cox seemed to be happy about it.
we going on in the country for government, and Tevin, a man, just take all the private parts and put them picture and send it all over the place. What kind of people is this? And if they think they look good,
Right. So that is where you're getting a sense as to what's going down. Right? So Amanda from get-go is not pleased. You can see the video says it all. She's not pleased with this guy's behavior for a 79-year-old. I mean, somewhere around the 79, 78. Things about that. Either 79 or 78 years. I mean, the guy is a senior old man. And for him to be behaving in that kind of manner. So she's a young woman, the Amanda Japal young lady. She's a young woman. She's not pleased. Straight off the bat, she's not pleased. Emlin Pere, I want to give her a pass. She's not pleased. She's not pleased with Keith's conduct, but she can't help it. She can't tell him anything. Right? She can't. If she opens her mouth and tell him anything, she in problem. So she can't tell him anything. Right? Then you have Nolan Cox. Nolan, when I looked at the video in depth, he was giggling and laughing, and the guy was happy. Facial expression, in my interpretation. his facial expression says that he was happy with Keith Mitchell with this kind of bad behavior. And that is why Nolan Cox was so badly beaten at the polls. Last election, the Honorable Andy Williams beat him bad. He got licks, real blows at the polls. Gregory Bowen, I don't think he was pleased with Keith Mitchell's bad behavior. I don't think so. Right? Based on where he has his hand under his chin, I don't think he was pleased with that kind of conduct. But he can't say anything too. He can't. And then Clarice Modeste, I mean, politically, it does give us some blows, but based on what I have seen with the whole piece of video, I don't think she too was pleased with that kind of behavior by Keith Mitchell. But they can't say anything. They can't do anything. They just have to accept it. But this is the real NNP. This is the real true NNP. Keith Mitchell, Lorena Waldron, Roland Bowler, Gregory Bowen, Clarice Modeste, what's his name again? Alvin Dabrio. I mean, these are the old guards. They're still in charge. They're still running the show. I mean, they push Emlin in the front there, but Emlin has no control. And then you see one or two of them little people trying to fight up the Diali Sunday, but they're nowhere in the scheme of things. The old guards, they're the ones running the show within NNP. They're in charge. But Grenada don't want to go back to this NNP, this type of governance, this type of behavior, this nasty, bad behavior.
Everything will look good. So I don't know.
Look at Cox giggling like you know. Look at him. Look at Cox giggling all the way. It's like a big joke. What is this?
Everything will look good. So I don't know.
Look.
Lord have mercy.
You could imagine that, boy? That is the type of politics that NNP is offering Grenada. And you know what he did to Cox? Listen what Keith Mitchell said about Cox, Nolan Cox, after he finished speaking. Listen.
At one time while Cox was speaking, he sung like a comedian. Because the amount of jokes Cox was giving in between his political speech, it tells you something is wrong in this country. We wonder, what do we have in government? Seriously. They're making Cox turn like a comedian, like John Agitation or Tommy Smith or them fellas in Trinidad.
You see what this guy did to Cox, Nolan Cox? This is what he did to Nolan Cox, you know. He said he thought that Nolan Cox is a comedian. Yeah. I mean, folks, something not right with these people. And I'm telling you, I don't know what is causing them to behave this way and act this way, but something ain't right with these people politically. Something not right. But Grenada, do you want to go back to that type of politics and that type of behavior? You want to go back to that? That is what existed for 20-something years under Keith Mitchell and the NNP. But the NNP has not changed. It's the same old NNP. It's you see what a guy did to Cox, Nolan Cox? That boy, that's what he did to Cox.
At one time while Cox was speaking, he sung like a comedian. Because the amount of jokes Cox was giving in between his political speech, it tells you something is wrong in this country. We wonder, what do we have in government? Seriously. They're making Cox turn like a comedian, like John Agitation or Tommy Smith.
You know, folks, Keith Mitchell cannot see himself. He could see everybody else, but he can't see himself. And some people wonder, well, why, what happened to him recently at the Happy Hill secondary school, But you don't have to wonder. No, things don't happen by accident and guess these days. No.
You could build the best building. If you don't have the equipment, the medication, the trained staff, and the way you treat them, sisters and brothers, I'm blacking out.
Yeah, and you wonder why these things are happening to this guy. You wonder why these things are happening to him. There is no need to wonder. No need to wonder.
You could build the best building. If you don't have the equipment, the medication, the trained staff, and the way you treat them, sisters and brothers, I'm blacking out.
Yeah, so you wondering why these things are happening to him? Don't wonder. There's no need to wonder. But the broader message here is that the NNP has not changed. The NNP has not changed. It's the same NNP. And that is what they're offering Grenada again. Nothing in the NNP has changed. The same old set of folks, the same political derelicts, they're the ones running the show. They're the ones. Look, you're wondering why these things are happening? You're wondering?
Sisters and brothers, I'm blacking out.
Yeah. You wonder? Why are you wondering? Why are you guessing? It is the hand of God. You hear me? Don't play with God, So this guy is on a stage, and look at his behavior. Look at his behavior. But that is what the NNP is offering. That's the NNP for you. Nothing of substance. No programs, no plans, no initiative, no nothing. Criticize, condemn, I remember I played a piece here with Keith Mitchell talking about, ask them about the money, what's to that effect. Remember?
So do your math. Do your math. $500 million cash we left. The customs and inland revenue making hundreds of millions of dollars. Add that. They say they're over $1 billion unless they lie in sales. And $118 million from Berry. Where did damn money gone, sisters and brothers?
Right. So that was Keith Mitchell recently on a platform. And I was going through social media. And again, big up to Rupert Blash. He did a post with a piece from MTV. All right. And I say, but wait. I remember in truth when public officers had to march and so on because the NNP administration said they don't have money for the 4% and that kind of thing in 2021. But election was in 2022, not far after that.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell says government would love to pay the increase but cannot do so now. Postponing the payment, he says, is not in government's best interest, therefore compounding its problem.
We don't have it. That's the point. That is exactly the point we're making.
Since government has indicated that it does not have the money to pay public servants, an increase amounting to $13.1 million, there have been calls to tap into the National Transformation.
Right. So $13.1 million. They don't have it to pay public officers. That was the increase. They were negotiating, and that was the increase. Keith Mitchell, they're saying they don't have it. All right. You know, the NDC came into power, and NDC gave them 13%, 4% that Keith Mitchell said they don't have, and another 4% for the following year, and 5% for the last year in the three years. So 3 years, 13%. And that is what makes NDC different from the NNP. But he was saying that they don't have the money. And that was I think it was in 2021. It's not far from the election. No, it was maybe about 9 months or so after NDC came into power. Around that time, NDC came into power and they paid the money. So he now on a platform saying they left about $500 million in the treasury. So you leaving that money there and you are saying to the public officers, you don't have it? You don't have the money? It baffles the mind. But it shows how disingenuous the NNP was to public officers and Grenadians as a whole. Same thing they told the pensioners, that if they pay the pension, you go bankrupt the economy and the economy go collapse and all kind of stuff. They never paid these people their money. When NDC came into power, they paid them their $75.1 million without hesitation. Immediately, they did so. So this guy is on a platform saying now they left all of this money in the treasury. Come on, so you left all this money in the treasury. You refuse to pay public officers their increase. You refuse to pay the pensioners who retired. Some was waiting for their money after 5 years retiring. 6 years they retired. 7 years they retired. All of these years they retired and they were waiting for their little kakada. They did not get it. But the NDC came and gave them their money. And that is a case in point of who cares and who doesn't. So my mind kind of go back to it and say, but wait, this guy was saying that they don't have the money and they don't have this and they don't have that. But look how he was conducting himself and saying to public officers, we ain't have this, we have that. But now he's saying they left $500 million in the treasury. Boy, I just can't understand. NNP, this guy, and I hope the Grenadian people are smarter, that they can see through him. Because he's the NNP. Keith Mitchell is the NNP. The party is mine and something of that sort. What's the guy named Innocent? Innocent sang that song. What was the name of the just forget the name of the song. Innocent party. Let me see. Grenada. You remember Innocent sang a song? The party is mine. Yeah. Yes, the party is mine. Yes. So I was looking, yeah, so I got the song. Maybe I'm hearing it. The radio is hearing it. The folks on the radio, they will hear it. But those on Facebook and YouTube might have a difficulty in hearing it. Yeah? Yeah. Uh, so I'm saying, yeah, so Innocent sang that song, The Party Is Mine. And so the guy is still running the show. He's still, Keith Mitchell. And you have to remember these people because they were the ones who mess up this country, in my belief. They were there for 20 something years, but they're still running the show within NNP. Just check it out. Lorena Waldron, Roland Bowler, Gregory Bowen, Clarice Modeste, Keith Mitchell, Alvin Dabrio, the same set of people who were there for all of these years. I mean, they push Emlin in front, poor Emlin, but she has no control over the party. She can't say anything. Even if she's not pleased with Keith's bad behavior and nasty conduct on the stage there at the General Council, from what I glean or believe or see or interpret based on her, body language, she can't say anything about it. She can't say anything about it. It's sad, really sad. But that's the NNP. This same old set of folks, they're the ones who running the show there. Not the Gilani Glean guy or the Diali guy or the Amanda Japal lady or who's the other one? Is there another one? I think there's another one. They don't have no control over the NNP. No control, zero control. The same old gods, they're the ones running the show. It's really, really sad. Very, very sad. But folks, I want to wish you all the best. To wrap up the program, I did tell you on Friday I would not be on this morning, but with the General Council of the NNP, I had to come back on. Taking out some of my time to go and attend this very important event. That is very, very important to me. So just saying, I will not be on tonight. I will not be on tonight, but tomorrow morning, God's willing, I will be on tomorrow, God's willing.